you speak again, Youssef?
Yeah, can
Okay,
you hear me?
the audience can hear you. Now I can't hear you. That's always the best. How about now?
Can you hear me?
As long as the audience can hear you, that's fine. How about you give a brief
I want
introduction
you to
about your time at Make School, and while you do that, I will figure out why I can't hear you.
Sure thing, sure thing. Hey everyone, my name is Youssef. I'm currently a senior at Make School. I'm doing the back end track. I you know started Make School about 2 years ago, and I'm graduating in May. So I'm very excited for that. Some of my favorite languages to code in is Python and Node.js. So thumbs up in the chat if that's your favorite programming language. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And I can hear you now, so I think we're good to go. One of these
Sweet.
days, I'm going to get it right at the start. I don't know how other people do it with sort of live interviews on Twitch, but if anyone's going to figure it out, eventually it's going to be me. Yeah, so as Yusuf said, current student. And did you already tell them what we're talking about today, Yusuf?
Today we're going to be talking about blockchain.
Awesome.
Yay. Yeah.
Yay, blockchain. And just to reassure everyone in chat again, Tech Topical is about talking about technical topics in a non technical fashion. There's a lot of words with T in there. Um, but so I think the goal today is blockchain is kind of a scary topic. It's a really intense subject. There's a lot of information, maybe a lot of misinformation out there. Um, so I'm actually going to defer to Youssef. I know Youssef doesn't identify as a blockchain expert, but I think Youssef has put more time into reading up about blockchain than I have. So I'm going to play the role of relatively uninformed host, and you're going to be our relatively more informed guest host. So, for folks in the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in chat, and I will be your on screen avatar. No question is too silly. I'm going to ask it because I probably also want to know the answer. And if we don't know the answer, Yusuf and I will we can Google something. We can try and pull it up on screen. We want it to be an accessible conversation for everyone. So, Yusuf, did you come with a hello? Let me introduce the topic of blockchain, or would you prefer if I sort of hit you with some sort of questions to start us off?
I would love if you could hit me with some questions to start off because this is also a scary topic for me as well.
Awesome. Great. Let's talk about scary things together. Yusuf, we should have talked about it on Halloween if it was going to be scary.
No,
Um,
it shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be that bad. We should
okay. So then my first question, we'll keep it easy. What what inspired you to dive more into the topic of blockchain? What about the subject is interesting to you? Why should people care?
that is a very good question. Um, the first thing that comes to mind that what I love about blockchain and what I think people need to really understand about it is that it's decentralized, and that right there is a big word. And what it pretty much means is that no one person, no one entity, no nation, no company has total control of the network, and
Now,
what that
before we
really
get
allows.
too far, I'm gonna hit you with the follow up question right away because, like you said,
Perfect.
decentralized is a big word, and I'm curious if in your research, are there any other metaphors like you're talking about it still in the context of money, but are there other ways that we can think about what that word means? Are there other kinds of examples where we can compare centralized versus decentralized, or is that maybe one of those areas that the world of information on the subject still could use improvement?
That is a very good point. It decentralized still to this day is still centralized in a way, but simply it just means that it's an open market. Think of it as like you know in an economic standpoint in capitalism. that like everyone's free to interact with, um, the network or the blockchain or whatever you're dealing with. It just means that it's open for anyone to join, and that no one single person has control over everyone else.
So that sounds very similar to just a description of the internet to me, right? The internet is a thing that doesn't live in one computer somewhere in the world, right? It kind of lives on everyone's computers. Some computers more than others, right? There are certain hosts and stuff. But is that like pretty close to the same idea? Like that it kind of lives in a lot of places? Is that a good way to understand what decentralized means?
It's a good place to start, most definitely. The internet is decentralized, but it has some methods or protocols that we call where it makes it where it is centralized. Take Facebook, for example. That's something that we connect to, using the internet, and we're able to connect to our peers, right? But we have to use Facebook to connect to our peers. We simply can't use the internet to message our peers. We have to go through Facebook. So that is one way where that form of communication is centralized to an application,
Mm-hmm.
but yet the internet is, decentralized, and that, yeah, could get confusing right there.
Right. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So it's kind of a problem in any system is that there are probably individual pockets which are centralized relative to some service. Just like in theory, we have a relatively free market capitalist system to go back to your economic example, but of course, there are many examples of things that are government run to ensure equality of access and so on, that those are centralized, but they live within a larger decentralized system. So does blockchain have the same thing? Does it live everywhere, but like, I don't know, are we talking about like Bitcoin only lives on Bitcoin servers and Dogecoin only lives on Dogecoin servers? And do we consider those centralized relative to the whole of blockchain?
It's a very, very, very good question. So in terms of the network, there is some centralized protocols or areas, like you said, very, very well put. So in the blockchain, for example, the way where it is centralized is the computers that run on the network. Those computers have to meet certain criterias to be like verified or authorized to work on the network and change things on the network, right? So in that case, the network has a central, or it's centralized in a way. Where it opens up to being decentralized, once a computer is approved on the network and it's authorized on the network, it has the power to make any call or any action as any other computer on the network, making it a decentralized network.
Gotcha. So, in a certain sense, there's this concept of decentralized versus centralized, which is talking about who has even just access to a particular kind of data. To use your example of like in a Facebook or any kind of social media where they own the data that they have helped create in terms of people's networks. But it sounds like for blockchain, that's an uneven. Sorry, for the social media thing, that's uneven, right? Facebook has most of the powers to do things, and the individual users can't do all the same things as all the other users. Whereas it sounds like what you're saying is that in the world of blockchain, everyone, once you're in, you like everyone's an admin kind of a thing. Is that a way to put it?
Correct. Correct. Yes. Yes. The reference or the application that I like to reference when speaking about blockchain is LimeWire. Do you remember using LimeWire to
I, you know, I
legally
I might be
get
older than you think
music?
I am. I remember Napster. I also remember LimeWire, but I remember Napster as well.
I'm not too familiar with Napster, but for LimeWire, it has a certain decentralized protocol,
Mhm.
which was if you had LimeWire downloaded on your device, you were then able to access this network of or this collection of music that pretty much came from everyone else's computer. So simply, if you
Mhm.
had Drake's new song downloaded on your computer, because you had LimeWire would pick that up and give access to all the other peers who had LimeWire downloaded.
Mhm. And uh, maybe
And
getting slightly off track, I think that the interesting thing about the Napster, LimeWire, etc., and like obviously there were legal claims about that for copyright reasons. But one of the things that I feel like came from that was this idea that we can trust end users' computers to hold important information and share that important information. I've noticed recently that even some, I think like Microsoft and other large software companies, when you're getting an update for your system now, it looks like there's an option that you can select that allows you to download things faster by trusting other people with Windows computers to receive the information in chunks as a way to sort of avoid the usual bottleneck of everyone downloading it directly from Microsoft. So it's curious. I'm not sure if that quite falls under this topic of blockchain, but it sounds like it's sort of related or a flavor of this idea of decentralized data and access.
that it's to be honest, I didn't know about that, and it's awesome to be learning something from you. But what it sounds like, it just sounds like that it highlights the power of peer to peer like network,
Mm-hmm.
and it just shows that that technology out there has a lot of power, and if we're able to do it in a safe way, there's a lot of benefits to it, just like you stated.
Mm-hmm. So if we take it back to blockchain more specifically, um, other than the bitcoins, dogecoins, all the other named coins out there in the world, are there other applications of blockchain that you're aware of that are being developed, or is this still primarily a domain that is being explored by people for these sort of economic systems and sort of uh, multinational sort of access, like you said, to a non-centralized currency? Is that still the primary use of blockchain, or have we evolved beyond that?
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. It definitely started off with the intent. And blockchain is it started off in 1991, doing a little bit of research before this, and it was simply just to a way to digitally stamp documents, and that's how it like started off. It didn't even start off as a form of cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think cryptocurrency just blew up just because it highlighted the monetary value of this technology.
Mm-hmm.
But as we soon found out that there's a lot more things that we can be saving on the blockchain than just cryptocurrency. A lot of people are thinking about putting like medical history on there, just because that is so hard to obtain.
Mm-hmm.
Or for example, they what it evolved to after cryptocurrency is something called, not to get too technical, is something called a smart contract, which then opened it up to anyone, any company, any developer who has an idea of like, hey, I think this is important to save on the blockchain, is able to go and use the protocols of a smart contract to implement that on the blockchain network.
So let's see. I'm not. Maybe I'm just not as familiar with the smart contract idea. So, um, does that? Are you talking about something
So
that's like a copyright on the blockchain? Because you said it was like an idea, or is it like a way of hiring people through the blockchain? What kind of contract are we talking about?
that's a great question. Let me clarify. So the smart contract, like you said, or going back to that there's multiple coins, that there's like Bitcoin, there's Ether, there's there's Dogecoin. there's all these coins, and the ones that we know of have monetary value to them. The ones that we don't know of that do certain things are then defined by their smart contract. So smart contract is just a way to define a coin that's going to be transferred on the network. And it defines what the coin's intent. So for Bitcoin's example, that smart contract, its intent is to have a monetary value that's going to be traded. If, for example, you are looking at someone trying to save medical history, right? The coin would then have data that would contain that person's medical history, like whatever it is, if they have asthma, their name, their private information, that would be saved in shape of a coin.
Gotcha. So I like that we have sort of a totally separate kind of example now, apart from just the like Bitcoin kind of economic in its own right currency. I'm curious to what extent we might be able to dive into or help explain some of the concepts around because like we said earlier, right, in a decentralized system, if everyone is an admin, for example, that's not quite the same thing as saying that like in the world of Bitcoin, I can't necessarily check the balance of your account, can I? Or in a medical sense, just because we're all admins, I can't like look at your personal medical history, can I? So how how is the security aspect um, handled in the world of blockchain? Because I know that's one of the things that's kind of like even for myself sometimes hard to like wrap my mind around is like there's this idea of data and it lives everywhere and that part makes sense to me, but I think the ownership of the data or how to access the data or which digital goods can be accessed by which people. I think that's the part that's hard for a lot of people to understand. And I'm curious, maybe what are some ways that you have seen it explained or that you use when you talk to other people about it?
That you are right. That topic right there, it's a very hard one to grasp, and I myself I'm currently working towards a better understanding of it. But to just simply answer it for you, it's they use they hash like the data, and what
I'm
that
going to
simply
pause you
means
right
that
there. Hash is a pretty technical term. Can we say that in a non technical way?
yes, hash, think of it as a password,
Okay, a
just like a
password.
password that you make to log in to your Facebook, to your email, uh, just a simple password.
Okay, so everyone is an admin in the blockchain once they have access, but we still all have our own passwords, and passwords are necessary to access or like view information, but there's still this concept of we can perform any action.
Correct. So just to clarify, the computers that are on the network don't have, to my knowledge, access to see your information. You
Mhm.
are the only one who has the password to unlock your information. Um,
So does that
to
mean that everything is like encrypted? I know that's another technical term, but I think most people are familiar that encryption is, some kind of conversion of data into some kind of nonsense that computers can deconvert later. Is encryption a core part of blockchain?
it is it is the most fundamental part of blockchain. You cannot have blockchain without encryption.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not to get too technical into it, but um, computers have a lot of power to do these a lot of these math equations to safely encrypt your data that
Mm-hmm.
would take us a ton of time to do, but for the computer it takes seconds. And simply what it does is when you save information, it does this math on it to encrypt it to make it secure. Then when it sends it to someone else, right, it uses that same method of giving it that password, and that password you need a very big computer to unravel the password or guess the password, you
Mm.
know um, and so this is to start talking about some of the flaws of like blockchain, is also to talk about the limitations of the password or of a hash,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And the
I
password
think
or a
yeah. Well, I was gonna say this the where you're going with this topic. Maybe this leads into what you're about to say, but I've heard before that like people that had Bitcoin or some other blockchain currency and lost their password to access their account, it's just gone, or it's there but no one will ever access it ever again. Is that where you're headed with this line?
it is that's one of the downfalls of it. If you lose that password, you've lost your key pretty much to open up that security deposit.
Hmm. So what are some of the solutions um, that either people have come up with or that maybe like you have looked into? Um, I've seen them before, but I'm curious to see what's the fresh new information that you may be more aware of for how do people handle that? Like such an important password. Most people still write passwords down on a notepad in front of their computer or save them all in a text file named passwords.doc on their computers.
Mhm.
So, I mean, probably not the same people using blockchain, but humans seem to be notoriously bad at handling important passwords. So I assume that there are solutions that people are working on for this.
There is, yeah, you're very right. The solution that I'm aware of that's currently being used is the Bitcoin wallet. It's like this USB that you attach to your computer, and you pretty much download your Bitcoin onto this wallet, and then once you unplug it from the computer, it's no longer on the internet, and so it's secured so that you don't have to like password protect it. So as long as you have the wallet, you're able to safely access your bitcoins or your funds or your data
So
without necessarily having to memorize a password.
So that's kind of like the equivalent of withdrawing all your money from the bank and putting it in a duffel bag under your bed. And then you just have to worry about somebody stealing your duffel bag full of money, or in this
That's a
case,
great
your
analogy.
USB of Bitcoin. Though I think an immediate thought that I have after that is, a duffel bag full of money can be damaged in some ways. Like there could be a flood or fire. That could destroy a bag of money. And I'm curious if you've heard of any horror stories, maybe of people who have used a Bitcoin wallet and then something happened to their USB. Because again, once you remove it from the cloud blockchain, right, it's just like a bag of money that caught on fire, right? If something were to happen to the USB.
You're totally 100% like correct. Yes, if you lose that USB, it's like you losing that duffel bag, and you've lost all your money. There are, and they're becoming more popular now. Like uh, those wallets online, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
companies that make a digital wallet where you can withdraw your funds digitally, but then those also have the password. So then you do still need to maintain some sort of credibility, and you have to have something that you can secure, whether it's in the form of a password or form of a USB wallet.
Are these services significantly different from a bank? They're a place that holds your money safely for you so you don't have to have a room full of duffel bags of money if one is so fortunate to have so many duffel bags of money.
Not to get too technical, you know in theory, yes, they are just like a bank, but they don't hypothetically have to follow the same rules or laws that banks have to follow. You know,
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think is the tricky next subject.
yeah, I think that depends on the developer or the user,
Mhm.
who's assessing uh,
Um,
that question.
well, I think like immediately following that, I maybe you're gonna guess this next question, but I've heard that only criminals use Bitcoin. Let me put that in quotes because I know this is something that is said on the internet a lot. So why should we support blockchain if the only people using it are bad guys who want to hide their money from legitimate governments and organizations? What's the retort to that?
You know that it's actually that's actually one of the biggest myths, and hackers are the like a very small percentage of people that use Bitcoin, and they only use Bitcoin not because of any advantage, like major advantages to them, other than it was like very secretive a few years back. Bitcoin right now is actually a little bit more public because you're able to look at every transaction that's being made. So if there's a transaction that looks suspicious, there's a lot of eyes watching the network and seeing what's happening, so they're able to catch on it quicker.
But what do you
But
mean by suspicious? And you said hackers, but I'm talking about what about just people who operate on the black market or the dark web? They aren't maybe hackers, but maybe they want to receive money to a place that has no like governmental oversight.
mhm. Yes, that and they can definitely do that. Um, but I think now blockchain has gotten more popular with just the public and like companies, and there's a ton of major corporations today that use blockchain on a daily basis. Companies like Visa, Ford, like Walmart, that all depend on the blockchain, to function on a normal basis.
Are they using it for the monetary kinds of blockchain or a different kind of blockchain?
They're mainly using it for different types of blockchain,
Mhm.
just because Walmart or Ford doesn't necessarily have to keep paying itself, so they mainly do it to save information that is important to them.
Gotcha. Do you know what kinds of information? I mean, if I had to guess, I would imagine a company like Walmart might be useful to have like logistics for all of their shipments around the world on the blockchain. Is that kind of in the realm of what they might use it for, or am I kind of off base here?
No, you're definitely right. Most companies that use blockchain technology mainly secure their top of the line information. Like for example, I don't know if the Koch brothers don't fly on the same flight just because they both have the recipe on how to make Coke, and
Mhm.
if one of them ends up if they're on the same flight and they pass away, no one knows has the recipe to make Coca-Cola. So these companies are mainly just securing their high end information on the blockchain. But companies like, for example, Visa, they will use blockchain to keep track of transactions that do have a monetary value, but not necessarily for the coin, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
So they're kind of just keeping track of their US dollar transactions, etc., all the other currencies in the world. They're just now trusting that to the blockchain system instead of, for example, a really giant spreadsheet in Excel.
Yeah, and with the power of the like the with the smart contract, it opened up this ability to no longer have to be tied to a monetary value, and open up to saving more critical information.
Gotcha. So then, let's bring this back to you, Youssef. I want to know, what is it that you are interested, like, do you want to build things on the blockchain? Do you have ideas for other things that society could be using blockchain for? Like, what is your vision for your involvement or your relationship with blockchain technology?
So that's a great question, and I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is security. Being exposed, just from 2 years ago, not knowing anything about code before coming to make school, and now understanding how vulnerable we are on the internet. I see blockchain as a way to make routes more secure, or areas where we aren't secure in, and to have a more safer connection with the internet and companies that we're interacting with.
Mhm. Does that mean that are you one of those folks that's like a white hat, black hat, like you're interested in all of security, or is it just like the magic of the blockchain has just captured your heart?
Uh, yeah. I think I like to encompass all of them. The biggest thing I like to say, I think technology has advanced itself, a lot tremendously. There's, a lot of things that are being developed that we don't even, are not privy to, or we don't know that are currently being, developed. So I think my goal, and I think what I'm going to be working on in the future years is helping the people, or helping companies or areas or environments or communities that are not up to date with what how technology has like come, and help them slowly progress and get to the same levels, or achieve the same things that technology has been able to achieve.
Gotcha. Is there an example of like a community or a service that you're thinking of when you think about things like that? Talking about things that are sort of still vulnerable, or have poor security. Are you talking about like the energy grid, or like what comes to mind for you when you think about it like that?
To be honest, I don't have one thing specific, just because I think technology can be applied to uh, any scenario. I think with coronavirus, it's definitely showed us that um, we do have to have some, you know, interaction via internet or via online,
Mm-hmm.
and in this day and age, it's very difficult to do so. So for me, I think in the coming years, I want to focus on just helping everyone, or just helping anyone who's looking to be more secure when interacting with the internet, just because it is so dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of like you know things that you can fall down and really hurt your business, or you can lose information, or things like simply as your grandma getting emails, and she signs into her into her bank. Next thing you know, people have her bank information.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the things that I really want to focus to moving forward, and hopefully blockchain will be able to help me do that.
Awesome. Looks like we have a little bit of time left. I'm curious, are there any other like really key points, or core concepts about blockchain that we haven't gotten to yet? I feel like we've hit a lot of the big ones, right? Like, where does it live? Who can use it? What is it for? We've talked a little bit about some of like the downsides or the weaknesses that it has right now. We just sort of talked about the possibilities that you think about for the future of blockchain. I'm curious, maybe another good question would be, where do you go when you're looking for relevant information? Are there sites that you have found to be the most useful or effective at helping you to better understand the blockchain? And if you do have them, if you have whether they're website recommendations, you can say the name, and I can put the link up below us down here with the
Yeah,
magic of
yeah,
OBS.
yeah.
Um,
I,
but yeah, let me
I
know.
honestly have. there's one thing that I would like to mention before we end this is, and that it's very easy to work with the blockchain. I would say it's a lot harder to grasp and to understand, but the community and the developers around it have honestly made it super easy to interact with. I highly recommend going to 101blockchains.com. That will There's a ton of articles, and there's a ton of support on that website, um, just to get more information about it and to understand it.
Mhm.
And for anyone who's looking to, like, I don't know, develop or looking on how to deploy onto the blockchain, uh, things like Truffle is an amazing, trufflesuite.com is an amazing place with tutorials that give you step-by-step instructions on how to deploy your own apps, or how to build your own apps on the blockchain.
Okay, let me see. So
So
I'm,
they have
I'm
some
grabbing
awesome
some of them
tutorials.
here to put in chat. So you said 101blockchains.com, and then what was the you said truffle
Suite.com.
truffle sweet.
And if people are interested, doing the Ethereum Pet Shop tutorial, that's actually a tutorial that we do in backend 2.4. That's the class that they offer in Make School, that teaches us about blockchain.
Backend 2.4. Wait a minute. Didn't you say you're a junior? Isn't 2.4 a senior class? Are you in the class
I
already?
am I am a senior.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
Youssef, how have we not hung out? Oh right,
we have.
I mean more. I
you were
mean
you
more.
were you were the person that helped me out, do like filling in my like health rec, or like my shots and everything when
Are
I
you
first
sure? Are
came
you
into
sure that
med
wasn't
school.
Tanya or
No, I'm
Jensen?
telling you it was you, because you showed me how to annotate in preview. I didn't know how to sign
I don't think it
documents
was
in
me.
preview.
I don't think it was me, Youssef. A lot of
I
people get me mixed up with Jensen, and I didn't do medical stuff. So I'm calling you out. I don't think we hung out
Okay,
enough, and I think,
okay.
you know,
We'll definitely have to hang out more. We'll definitely have
okay,
to hang out more.
um, yeah, most definitely. Okay, well, I'm glad I now, because I was just like, Yusuf and I haven't hung out. Yusuf must be new. But again, the shelter in place has really messed with my sense of time. I don't know about everyone else.
I do not
Um,
like it at all. I'm ready to go back in person.
yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I was gonna hit you with one more question. What was it? Um, well, so you mentioned so you took backend or you're taking backend 2.4, and do you build a blockchain? Like what do you build related to the blockchain in that class? Because you said, I mean, blockchain is decentralized, it's huge, it's global, international, and then so what actually does one build to explore blockchain? Like, do we have a make school coin? Like, where is it? How do I get it? Should I be investing in it, or is it like what do we what kind of smart contracts, I guess, are being created by students in backend 2.4? Like, what kind of applications are people testing this out with?
That's a great question. So to quickly just, get into how to deploy or to develop applications, to be launched on the blockchain or on the network, you simply build the website like you normally would, just like you would, your HTML is the same, your front end is the same. The important part, or the piece that is different, is when it comes to saving things to the database. Usually, when we save things to the database, we'll save like the username, their information, and things like that. So it's up to the developer, and this is where the smart contract comes in. It's up to the developer to define what things get saved in the smart contract, and they usually only save what's important to them, just because, of space, of time, of money, of resources. So, for example, in terms of Facebook, if you were to look at Facebook, what would they be saving? What they would save is like your photos, your posts, who your friends are. So anytime you come to the application, you're able to see your photos, you're able to see your friends, and you're able to see the latest posts.
Gotcha. So for folks who are familiar with a database of like where the data is stored, that's kind of the sort of first step in thinking about what in the heck can I use a blockchain for. I'm pulling up your Make School portfolio right now. Are any of these projects blockchain? Top in the US, queued up lyric generator? Maybe not.
Not on my portfolio, but if you definitely check out my GitHub,
Yeah.
I honestly simply just followed the pets tutorial in the Truffle suite.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great foundation that I was able to build off of, and they walk you through all of the steps from building your site to deploying it and things like that.
Okay, let's see. Are you Let's see. I'm trying to grab what I think is your GitHub. This person has your name. They have what looks like a pretty solid GitHub repo history. Captain Rainbow checklist is on it. That sounds like you. Are you why?
Why
What?
sewers?
Yep. Here we
Yes,
go.
yes.
Gonna give you a little promo up here. All right, now let's use the last 10 minutes and let's create a let's hire you out. Where do you want to work when you graduate from Make School?
I would love to work at Amazon.
Doing what?
I would love to work on their Amazon Web Services,
AWS
helping.
classic.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So
I would
actually,
like.
what is AWS? What is that for?
Ooh, that is a big,
That's a whole
big.
other topic.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing I can say about that is that AWS serves the top 80% of the Forbes, like the companies that make the Forbes list. They are contracted by the top 80% of those companies. So
So
they
it's
do a
basically
lot
like
of
it's like
things.
web hosting services, data storage. It's kind of like an all-in-one everything, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yeah. And it's around the world. It's global. It's also very cheap for students and for us and for anyone who signs up. They give you a year free, and you're able to put up servers all around the world for free for a year.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Um, so, dear Amazon, please hire Youssef. He knows what he's talking about, right? See, look, right here, it's right below. You can't not hire Youssef.
It's
He's
gonna happen
amazing.
now.
It's
It's
gonna
gonna happen
happen.
now.
We'll
Yeah.
just clip this and we'll send it to all of their recruiters. I think that's is that the tactic we teach at Make School? Make a video clip and spam all of the recruiters at the company with it.
It works. It works.
It does.
It really does.
Awesome. Well, let's pause for just a moment. I know we have a few people in chat, and I want to just shout out again. Like, if you have a question, we got a few more minutes to answer it. Doesn't have to be about blockchain anymore. If you want to just ask Yusuf how he got so awesome, um, throw that question in there. Because Yusuf, you said you what was your programming background before Make School? Did you identify as a beginner?
Yeah, yeah. I honestly took one coding class in community college, and it was like just an intro to coding. I remember the initial project was like a Mad Libs, where we simply just had to like rearrange a story, and I went home that night thinking like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this? You know.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I started bare bone, barely knew anything about code.
Awesome. And now here you are. We're talking about blockchain. We're definitely getting you hired by
Yes,
Amazon.
yes.
Uh, AWS team, we got your boy.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, we got a question in here, but will that work for applying to Make School though? That is a great question. Uh, I'll tell you this: if you put in the effort to make a video about why you want to come to Make School and what you're passionate about, I would find it very hard to believe that's not going to come across as very impressive. Like Yusuf said, like it works because what you're demonstrating is a passion to be here, a passion to be a part of our community. And I'm sure Youssef can attest to the fact that community is really what Make School's all about. So if we see that you have the energy that we have in our community, and you want to be a part of it, that definitely works. Youssef, any other tips, Youssef, for those in the audience who are interested in joining the illustrious class of 2021?
I don't have any tips, but feel free to reach out to me if you guys have any questions. If you need help making that video, please reach out to me. I'd love to be a part of that.
Awesome. Let's see. Where should people reach out to you? They can stalk you on the GitHub. Should I dig up your LinkedIn as well? Should we do all the
Yeah,
internet stalking
please.
we can do?
LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me. If you get a hold of me on GitHub as well, that's also okay. But
All right,
LinkedIn is going to be the best way to get a hold of me.
Ooh, let's see. I'm not getting as quick. There's 100+ profiles on LinkedIn with your last name. Let's see. Are you the
Would you
first
like me
one
to
though?
send you?
Do you want to Slack it to me real quick, and then I can
Yes, I can.
post it in the channel? Sorry, I didn't stalk my guest host well enough before.
How could you, Jordan?
Ah, notes for next time. Let's see. So in our few closing moments, I'm curious, Youssef, what was your experience like as the guest host here? Are you down to come back on Tech Topical in the future and maybe tackle another technical topic in a non-technical way?
So I'll be honest, I was completely nervous, but Jordan, oh my God, you were amazing. The questions and how you literally just picked like my brain apart for me, and I didn't have to do anything. So yes, I would love to come back and do one of these things again with you.
Awesome.
It
What
was a
are some other
blast.
topics I can pick your brain apart on?
The one that I would actually like to talk about is when to um, like use a back end route or a front end. Well, maybe we'll have to come back to that and talk more about it.
I think you're ready for the challenge, because I think, like you said, like I could see the sort of like moments in your eyes where you were about to go with like a technical phrasing, and then I like forced you to bring it back to something simpler so that I can understand it. So yeah, I think it's maybe that'll be a good challenge for us to see. Maybe the audience can give us a score on how well we succeeded at
Yes, please do.
bringing
I'd love some
those
feedback.
technical topics to the non-technical discussion space, because I think that's part of the reason why the world of tech is can be scary and intimidating at first. I remember when I first started out, it was like I don't know what a front end is, other than like if you're talking about a horse, I could tell the difference between the front end and the back end, but I don't know. All right. So, next time, we don't know what the topic will be. We don't know when it will be, but I think we definitely have you back on this show. Maybe you could be the host. Maybe you could be quizzing someone else, picking their brain apart.
I don't think I can do a better job than
You
you,
don't
Jordan.
have to
But
do a better
I'd love
job
to.
than me. You just have to do the job. That's how you get better, though, right? You got to do it to get better.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just make it look smooth and easy because I've already interviewed a few people, and I
Practice
know
does make perfect.
when to interrupt and ask a new question is the secret, I think.
Looks like
We just got our first rating. Yusuf, you got a 10 out of 10. 10 out of
hey,
10. Raise the roof for
thank
Yusuf.
you.
Awesome.
Woo!
Nice. Another makes school suite. Yeah, I think Stabby Cat you mentioned before. That's awesome. Yeah, again, just part of the community, bringing more folks to our awesome community. All right, it looks like we are just a few minutes away. I don't want to drag it out too long. It's always good to end when the time is right. So just a quick, got to do the obligatory shout out. Of course, applications are open. Um, and I think recently we announced that people who apply in the next month or so are going to have the opportunity to win a chance to speak with a startup founder, and probably not even Jeremy, maybe like another startup founder. So that's really exciting. and I encourage everyone to apply. Any parting words, Youssef?
Oh, can I take advantage of talking to that, startup founder?
I don't know. I mean, if do you wanna, we don't have a graduate program yet. I guess you.
I'll
How,
apply again. I'll
how
apply again if I
how
have
about
to,
this,
Jordan.
Yusuf? If you get 10 new people to apply to make school, I'll put in a good word and see if we can get you. Maybe the secret is you need to be the host of whatever that experience is. See, step up your host skills. You could be the host of Tech Topical, Yusuf, and then you just start interviewing all the startup founders you want.
This sounds like a bad idea.
You gotta hack the system. Gotta hack the system. It's all just a trick. All right. Thanks everyone for participating in chat. Um, Tell all your friends. Follow us if you're not following us already. I am teasing Yusuf a little bit, but in reality, we are going to be having more student created content on our Twitch platform starting very, very soon. So if there are things that you think we should be doing, cool kinds of ways we could share more coding content in a fun and engaging way, let us know. Awesome. All right, Yusuf, now is when we do like an awkward like wave for 10 seconds while I fade us out. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. We're fading in the music, we're waving, and we're fading out.